Hi, everybody. This is Yonja Brunini. I work for Google. I run marketing for Google in Europe, Middle East, Africa. I'll be hosting this hangout today. We've got our special guest stars, Richard Branson from Necker Island. Hi, Richard. And Elon Musk joining us from California. Hi, Elon.
Hi.
We've also got offices of entrepreneurs from around the world. Johannesburg. Hello. And Bogota. There. And we've got Newcastle.
Hi. Hi.
Hi, everybody. And last but not least, Montego Bay.
Hi.
So what we'll do is 20 minutes of a chat between Richard and Elon, and then we'll hand it over to the other offices to ask their questions, and we'll wrap it up in an hour. So before I ask the first question, I just want to say how excited I am, both at a personal as well as at a professional level, to be hosting this hangout with two such amazing people. Personal because I come from a country that's prides itself in being entrepreneurial. I'm Turkish, and I come from a family of entrepreneurs and engineers. And excited at a professional level because the company I work for, Google, has very entrepreneurial roots, a DNA, even though we're much bigger than when we started, very entrepreneurial in our spirits, and we work with millions of small businesses around the world, and it's very much a part of what we're passionate about at Google, but not just these reasons, but also two such entrepreneurs who do crazy things and have a healthy disregard for the impossible, just thinking of their space ventures. So that's also very exciting, and not only that, but they truly believe and represent that business can be a force for good. So that's all about my excitement. We'll have a lively discussion over the next hour. So I'll just kick off with my first question. Richard and Elon, there are all these budding entrepreneurs hanging on every word you're going to say, no pressure. And they want to know, I'm sure, what would be your advice in this day's economy and in the way the world economy is today. What would be your advice to them, to budding entrepreneurs?
Since Elon's not speaking, I'll speak. I think if you've got a great idea that you think can improve other people's lives, just get on and do it. I mean, I have a phrase which says, "Screw it, just do it," and that's what I would recommend. And so the important thing is is doing it. There's so many people who come up with great ideas that are told it's not such a great idea, or just don't end up doing it. But the key thing is give it a try. If you fall flat on your face, pick yourself up and try again.
Are you being asked that question, or are you being told that something's impossible and crazy, and you're doing it anyway right now?
I think most things that we've done at Virgin, people have said, it's mad to do it. I mean, when we went into the airline business, when we owned a record company, people said, what on earth is somebody from the entertainment business wanting to start an airline? And I think, what they didn't realize was actually people on airlines want to be entertained. They want to have a fun, good experience, which they didn't have when we started the airline business 30 years ago. So I think most of the things that we've done, there've been plenty of people who've said not a good idea. Elon, your turn. Where are you?
Oh, sure. I think it's important to I think it's important to take as much feedback as you can from as many people as you can about whatever idea you have. So the whole idea around creating a company is that you're putting together a group of people to create a product or a service, and in order for for it to make sense for that group of people called a company to exist, it has to be a really good product or service. Otherwise, there's no point in that company existing. So you want to just be extremely rigorous about making the best possible thing that you can, and seeking trying to find everything that's wrong with it and fix it. That's really important. So something I often say is you should seek negative feedback. particularly from friends. So seek critical feedback. Ask them what's wrong. You often have to draw it out in a nuanced way to figure out what's wrong, because friends don't want to tell you exactly what's wrong because they don't want to hurt your feelings. But they often know, and so that can be really helpful. And then you keep trying to make it better and better. And then if your product service is sufficiently better than whatever else is out there, or if there's nothing else like it, then the company will succeed.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you. Yes, Richard, sorry.
No, I was just going to add to what Elon just said, and that is it's so important to be a good listener. There are too many people who think they know it all and like hearing their own voice. But being a good listener, you can get so many other ideas from other people to work out whether your idea is a good one or not.
I'm listening. No. Okay. All right. Okay. So my other question I've been really dying to ask you is, it looks like entrepreneurship is concentrated disproportionately so in some parts of the world. Why is Silicon Valley only in Silicon Valley? Why is Israel so much more entrepreneurial? Shouldn't there be more such places scattered around the world? And should you do something about it? Should we do something about it?
Well, I think Elon can start the answer on this one since he's from Silicon Valley.
You moved to Silicon Valley from South Africa. I mean,
I've spent probably most of my life in Silicon Valley or Silicon Valley-like environments, and I think the thing that makes Silicon Valley work is really the people. That it happens to be a concentration of entrepreneurial talent from all around the world. And particularly in technology. Obviously, Silicon Valley is very technology-oriented, but most businesses that start are not technology businesses. They're in all sorts of other sectors. So, I think the reality is that there's a great deal of entrepreneurial activity throughout the world. It just so happens that in recent decades or recent years, even Silicon Valley has gained a lot of awareness because of things like Facebook, Twitter, Google, obviously, and so I think it may have a disproportionate awareness in the world because of some of those things. But it is, if you want to start a technology business, there's no place like Silicon Valley. There's just no place that has the infrastructure, whether it's accounting, legal, real estate, and it's just gotten really good at creating companies. However, it should also be said that Silicon Valley, like most companies in Silicon Valley, fail. So there's a pretty high failure rate of Silicon Valley companies, as there is around the rest of the world. So it's not as though if you're there, you will succeed. It's an extreme Darwinian exercise, I would say, in Silicon Valley. But in terms of what the rest of the world can do, what sort of I'm trying to think of a useful thing I could say. It's do whatever you can to foster the growth of young small companies, because a young small company is it's like a little tadpole. It's got a very it's very fragile. Odds of success are very low. So anything that can be done to allow it to grow a little bit and to sustain itself in the face of much larger companies is extremely important. And so that would be my advice to, say, governments or on regional or state level, is do whatever you can to shield the smaller companies and allow them to grow and be competitive, because big companies will try to stamp them out. And I know Richard had an incredible battle with British Airways, and thank goodness that worked out, because Virgin's awesome. So. I don't know if Richard, if that's an anecdote you'd want to share, but it's pretty. I think that whole story of your battle with British Airways is pretty incredible.
Yeah. Well, big companies will try to stamp out small companies, and it's government's role generally to try to make sure that doesn't happen. Governments don't always play that role very well, and therefore, in the end, it's up to you to shout foul and use whatever means you can to defend yourself. And when British Airways went to extraordinary lengths to get rid of us, we took them to court. We won the biggest sort of libel damages ever in the British courts, and British Airways backed off. And if we hadn't done that, I don't think Virgin would be around today. And it was a previous head of an airline, Sir Freddie Laker, who gave me the advice: sue the bastards, because they put him out of business, and they said they will try the same to you. In America, we've got United doing everything they can to try to get rid of Virgin America by loading capacity onto all our routes, where it's going to be very difficult for them to actually make money. And we're fighting our corner hard. Fortunately, the quality of the product is so much better than theirs that people will go out of their way to travel Virgin America, and therefore I think we will survive and we will thrive. And that's an important lesson. You've just got to be the best, the best in your field, as Elon said earlier. Just going back to the original question, I think Silicon Valley has the advantage of being first mover. So they got in there. They built a reputation for having great companies, and therefore they attracted people from all over the world who wanted to go and work there. In a small country like Great Britain, we've urged the government to set up something, where instead of just getting grants to go to university, you can get grants from the government to set up your business and your business idea. And I think that could be fantastic. If you can get £10,000–20,000 to set up your business from the government, or you should be able to therefore attract some money from other entrepreneurs as well, and that's all you need often to start a business. Just getting that initial seed money. So I think if governments could do things like that more around the world, that would be good.
Great. Both of you are saying similar things around governments playing a bigger role in this. What about failure? You mentioned this earlier, Elon. You were also saying there's a lot of failed startups in Silicon Valley. How has failure played a role in your success, so to speak, or in your careers, so to speak?
Well, in all of the companies that I've been involved with, there's always been a very difficult time. The very difficult time is usually shortly after the beginning, actually. It's when you first start out the company, things seem very optimistic and rosy and exciting. I think maybe for the first 6 months to almost a year, it's pretty good, and then things start to go wrong. It's at least been my experience, and you make mistakes that you encounter issues you didn't expect. You step on landmines, and it's bad, so years 2 through 4 or 5, usually quite difficult. There's a friend of mine who's got a saying about starting a company, which is which is I think a bit true. It's a bit like eating glass and staring into the abyss, in that. In the most cases, companies go through this phase where you're in constant danger of the company dying, just constant. And then if you're the co-founder or CEO, you've got to do all sorts of things, all sorts of jobs, and tasks that you may not wish to do, that are not intrinsically interesting to you. And so that's the eating glass part. There's quite a bit of that too. And if you don't do your chores, essentially, then the company will not succeed. And you've really got to be prepared to do whatever it takes, work whatever hours, and no task is too menial. I think that's the right attitude for the CEO of a startup. Anyway, so that's been the case actually with every company that I've been a part of. So if you take it, say SpaceX. The first 3 launches that we conducted failed, and it was a very painful exercise. and we were just too stupid to know how to make a rocket go to orbit. And I'd actually set aside money for. I budgeted. I thought, okay, we could afford 3 launches, and then the third one failed. And we were just barely able to scrape together enough money for a 4th launch. And this is in late 2008, and that succeeded. And if that had not succeeded, SpaceX would not be around today. In that same time period, Tesla was raising financing in 2008, and then the whole financial crisis hit, and financing round fell apart. And we just make a long story short, we were able to finally close a financing round on Christmas Eve 2008, which was the last hour of the last day that a financing could be closed, after which the company would go bankrupt. That was a stressful time, I have to say. So things have improved quite a bit since then, but it wasn't that long ago that the companies were almost dead.
Yeah, I think. Well, I knew Elon in those days, and I'm surprised his hair is still black and not grey. But I think I think that I think what Elon is saying is basically that there's a very thin dividing line between success and failure, and all that matters when you're building a company is survival. And if you go the wrong side of that dividing line, you're obviously not going to survive. And if you can just stay the right side, you can survive. And at Virgin, we've had similar situations. When we launched the airline, we had a very successful record company. Came back to find the bank manager sitting on our doorstep, saying that he will, that was on the Friday, that he was going to foreclose on the Virgin Group on the Monday, and we had to scramble over the weekend to get our overdraft facility down to the level that he wanted it, and then by the end of that week we had to find another bank, and so so fighting to survive is it goes without saying, but it's absolutely critical, and most companies do not survive, so I think the important thing to learn from it is you're going to learn an enormous amount by actually building a company, and if you don't survive, you're one of like 8 out of 10 companies do not survive. So so you shouldn't feel completely downhearted from it. You should learn from that and just try again, and that's what limited companies are for. It's there to encourage entrepreneurs to give it a go, do everything you can to survive, work day and night to make sure you do survive. But if you don't, just pick yourself up again and try again, and keep trying until you finally succeed. And there are many big entrepreneurs in the world who've had companies that have failed in their lifetimes.
Thanks for that. I think I'd like to ask one last question to each of you, and then ask the other offices to join the Q&A. First to Richard. Richard, I know you believe business is a big force for good. Can you tell us what you've been doing in that area recently? I think you're doing some really inspiring stuff. Could you share that with us?
Well, I mean, business in itself is a force for good, because what you're doing is you're creating something which is going to make a positive difference to other people's lives. So just being an entrepreneur, I think is a very positive thing. Having said that, I think if you are an entrepreneur and you've built a successful company, you can use your entrepreneurial skills to look at some of the seemingly intractable problems of this world and see if you can address them, which sometimes politicians or social workers may not be fully equipped to do. And at Virgin, we've incubated quite a lot of not-for-profit organizations like the Carbon War Room, like the Elders, like the Oceanic Elders, like the B Team, which is our newest not-for-profit, which is designed at trying to get companies around the world not just to think about the bottom line, which is very important, but also to think about their environmental footprint, also to think about people and trying to unite businesses to try to get out there and get on top of the world's problems. And I think if enough business leaders can work in it, we can get on top of the world's problems. But we need every business in the world to give it a go.
And Elon, as Richard said, each business, each entrepreneur is even if it's for profit, can be a force for good, and you've got a lot of work to prove that as well. There were a lot of my friends told me to ask you about Hyperloop. I just thought if you'd share a few of the latest updates on that. I think you've got an update August 12th coming up, but I wondered if there's anything you could share with this exclusive audience.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, we'll just answer the first part of the question. I mean, a company is, like I said, a group of people working together to create a product or service. So as long as they're not protected by some sort of legislation or somehow, have an unreasonable monopoly on things, then they only exist to the degree that they're doing useful things for their fellow, for other people out there, and so I think it's, good, a forceful good. I mean, there's a bit of subjectivity as to what good represents, but it's fair to say that most companies only exist if they're doing something useful, and I mean, that's the way I certainly view things for my companies. Is like, how do we make things that people would really like and would find really useful in their lives? That's the goal. It's really pretty commonsensical, I think. And then, well, let's see, on the Hyperloop, what can I say? When I was trying, I can say a bit about where the Hyperloop's coming from and what I think the goal of such a thing would be. I originally sort of started thinking about it when I read about California's high-speed rail project, which was somewhat disappointing because it's not a very high-speed rail. It's got an average speed of, I think, 125 or 130 miles an hour, and takes a slightly circuitous route from Los Angeles to San Francisco. And so it's actually worse than, let's say, taking the plane. I mean, I'd much rather take a Virgin America plane than take the train. And so it seems like, why would one want to do a big expensive project like that, which is slower than alternatives and likely, I think, will be more expensive than alternatives. So I get a little sad when things aren't getting better in the future. And another example would be like the Concorde being retired and the fact that there's no supersonic passenger transport. I think that's quite sad, because you want the future to be better than the past, and or at least I do quite a bit. And anyway, so I got to thinking about what could be the best way to get from LA to San Francisco, or essentially what would be the optimal solution in the special case of a city pair that is less than, say, 1,000 miles, and where there's a great deal of traffic between those city pairs. I think once you get to the sort of 1,000-mile range, you should just take a supersonic plane. But less than that, you spend a lot of time climbing and descending. So since the climb descent part is significant for routes less than 1,000 miles, or 1,500 kilometers, or 1,600 kilometers, I should say, it may be better to figure some other means of doing it. So one necessary. So think of like the criteria. Apologies if this is going on too long. Just cut me off.
No, go ahead.
You have to first say, well, what is the right question to ask? Like, how should this be framed? And I think you want a transport mechanism that, let's say, is on roughly twice as fast as the next best alternative, that costs less, that is safer, that is not subject to weather, and is more convenient. Like, if there was such a thing, then obviously I think most people would take it. In fact, it would increase the travel between such city pairs because of the increased convenience. So you could conceivably live in San Francisco and work in LA. Just as when the Union Pacific joined California, people were saying, "Oh, there's hardly anyone that lives in California. This whole railway line is a silly thing," and they calculated the number of people that would travel as being very low because there wasn't anywhere to go to. But that was because people were going by wagon, which is extremely inconvenient. Anyway, so the Hyperloop, is something that would go effectively faster than the speed of sound. Because you'd have to travel at an average speed of around 700 miles an hour from LA to San Francisco to get there in half an hour. It does involve a tube, but not a vacuum tube.
But frictionless.
No, it's really not frictionless, but very low friction. Anyway, the full details, sorry for the laborious answer, will be on Monday.
Okay, thanks a lot. It seems like you both have frustration with something as a starting point. I don't know if that's a fair observation. I think I heard Richard say that once, but that's interesting to observe and to listen to as we hear you both speak. But before
many of the best ideas come out of personal frustration, and I'm sure a lot of the entrepreneurs who are listening have started their businesses from personal frustration, which is an admirable way of starting a business.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Frustration is good. That's one thing I'll note down from this. So, okay, I know there's lots of burning questions in the other locations to both of you. I'll start with Johannesburg, Branson Center for Entrepreneurship. Gavin?
Hi,
Gavin.
Hi, Richard. Hi, Elon. It's Gavin from the Branson Center here in South Africa. Since we moved here to our new home in Johannesburg in October 2010, the Branson Center has trained and provides continuous support to 500 entrepreneurs from 460 businesses spanning 21 industries. And today we have 70 of those entrepreneurs hanging out with you here at the center. Before we ask our questions, Richard, we look forward to spending some time with you when you next visit your center here in Johannesburg. And to Elon, this serves as a formal invitation for you to visit us here at the center when you next travel to South Africa.
All right, sounds good. I look forward to visiting it. Yeah.
Our first question is for you, Elon, and it's from our Branson Center entrepreneur, Denise Sherman.
Hi, Elon. I'm Denise Sherman, owner of Customized Training Videos. My question to you, you've worked with a wide range of teams and you actively encourage disrupting the status quo. What is your secret to keeping a team of disruptors working well together?
Well, I think it's important that everyone understands exactly what the mission is, what the goal is, and that when they join the company, that they're bought into that overall goal. As long as that goal is clearly defined and understood, and people are saying yes, they agree with that goal when they join the company. So they're not just joining, for a salary or something like that, but they believe in what the company's doing. Then I think you can always go back to them and say, hey, look, if their activity is not aligned with the company, say, hey, you need to change your behavior in this particular way, and then they usually do. On rare occasions, when somebody does not, then you have to be prepared to let them go from the team, because it doesn't work if the team is at cross purposes. So. I think that's really important, and the fundamental job of the CEO is vector alignment, is getting everyone aligned and allowing them to work to their maximum potential, and making sure that people look forward to coming to work in the morning, and the result is then people don't want to leave because they're enjoying themselves and they're making progress, and that's what people generally want to do.
Thank you.
Thanks, Denise. Hi, Richard. Your question is from another Branson Center entrepreneur, Sipiwe Silembi.
Hi, Richard. I'm Sipiwe Silembi, the owner of Blessings Hotels. I believe every person was created to live a meaningful life with purpose. My question for you is, as a business tycoon, do you feel like you have a responsibility to change people's lives through entrepreneurship?
Sorry, your voice cut out just as you were asking the question. Could you say it again?
As a business tycoon, do you feel like you have a responsibility to change people's lives through entrepreneurship?
To change the world through entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah. Yes, I think so. I mean, I think that I think every single one of you who are building your businesses are making a difference in the world, and there will come a time once you've built your business where you can make an enormous difference in the world. But initially, when you're building your business, you just got to make sure they survive. Obviously, try to do things you're proud of in the process, but you're not going to be in a position where you're really going to make a massive difference in the world as you're building the business. The important thing is that you survive and build your business in the first stage. But once you've actually got your business established, then I think you can think, what can I do to make a real big difference in the world? And as I said earlier, I would really encourage you to aim one day to do that. Tell me what's the business you're doing?
I'm into student accommodation.
And how are you managing?
Yeah, well, there are challenges, as small and as we are running small companies, there are a lot of challenges. So I would say the center has been really helpful to us by providing us with the tools that can take our companies to another level.
Yeah, well, I look forward to seeing you in October when I come, and wish you all the best with it. And I'm sure Elon does as well.
Absolutely.
Thanks. I can't wait to see you.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks, Sipiwe. And finally, from us at the Branson Center, it's a very special thanks to John from Google South Africa, who has pulled together this event with the many parts today. So over to you, John.
Thanks, Kevin. Hi, my question's for Elon. I've always heard that one of the most important things in getting a business right is extreme focus on one thing. I'd be really interested to understand how you keep focus on so many different projects and different businesses and still maintain such velocity.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's certainly true that if you're particularly at the early stages of a company, you have such limited resources. If you don't focus them, then and you diffuse them, then your chances of success are much less. So it's and I would definitely not recommend trying to create two companies at once, as sort of happened with SpaceX and Tesla. In fact, it wasn't originally my intention to run Tesla, but I had to do so in the end. Yeah, but I really wouldn't recommend it, honestly. It's quite a lot of it's more work than, yeah, it's too much. So yeah, I would really strongly advise someone to just focus on one company and throw as many hours at it as you possibly can. Really work morning till night. Think about it in your sleep. 7 days a week, no breaks, nothing. That's what you should do when you're starting a company. And when I did my first two companies, Zip2 and then PayPal, I mean that's was 100% focused. And yeah, I was always hoping that Tesla wouldn't be necessary, but it was when it became clear that the big car companies were not going to do electric cars by themselves, then that's when it became necessary.
I think, can I add something there?
Please.
Sorry. No, I think the absolute key. I mean, I would agree with everything Elon said, but then the other thing I think you've just got to do is quite early on in your company's history is find somebody to run that company on a day-to-day basis who is hopefully better than you. I mean, and most people just don't find the time to go out there and find that really good person, and they get completely they stay completely immersed in it, and but finding the time to find somebody else to then run it on a day-to-day basis then frees you up to think about the bigger picture, frees you up maybe to move into another venture, frees you up to have a family life, frees you up to look after your body and make sure you're healthy and fit, and if you try to do everything yourself for too long, you'll run yourself down, and you're not necessarily the best person to run the company on a day-to-day basis. You can always find somebody as good as yourself or better than yourself.
Thank you very much.
Face it doesn't look like he agrees with me.
Well, no, it's unfortunately I was not successful in doing that. I tried that at Tesla a few times, but it was not successful. Yeah, maybe at some point in the future.
Yeah.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks, Elon, for your insights, and we look forward to seeing you at the Branson Center in South Africa soon. Back to you, Yonsha.
Thanks, John. I think we've got Pete Wood now from Newcastle, from Startup Loans. Pete, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hi, guys. First of all, yeah, we're from Virgin Money. We're based in a not-so-sunny Newcastle, unfortunately, in the northeast of England. So, yeah, I'm Pete Wood. I look after social enterprise projects for Virgin Money. And one of the schemes we're involved in is the Startup Loans Scheme, which offers low-cost, low-finance and mentoring for young, budding entrepreneurs. And I just so happen to have 3 of them with me this afternoon. So I'll start by introducing Claire on my right. Claire's running a hair and beauty training company called the #1 Training Academy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have Nikki. Nick runs a food and nutrition business, which is just starting off, called Optimal You. And also at the end we've got Dan. Dan's in the process of setting up a rather unusual business, which is a community cinema. And that kicks off in the middle of September, so good luck with that. And the first question we've got is actually from Nick. So Nick, over to you, and I think it's directed at Elon.
Yes, thanks Pete, and hi Richard and Elon. It's great to have the opportunity to talk to you both today. I'm a positive psychologist, and my business, Optimal You, is centered on overcoming client barriers to personal growth. So Elon, I'd like to ask what the hardest thing is that you've had to do in business to date.
The hardest thing? Well, I guess there's 2 ways to think of hard. Like, it's one sort of emotionally hard, I suppose. What was sort of really emotionally hard and what was kind of hard work. I think the most difficult emotionally hard thing was in 2008, which I talked about a little bit, where both Tesla and SpaceX were in dire need of money to keep going, and I'd basically run out of the money almost run out of the money that I'd gotten from the sale of PayPal to eBay, and then I had a very difficult decision to make, which is that I could either take the money that I had left and allocate it to one company, or 2, and anyway, that was really difficult, because if I'd if I'd only allocated it to one company, then it's sort of like you got 2 kids, and it's like you only have, you're not sure if you spread the food around, will both kids make it. So it would have been a very unfortunate thing if both companies had failed, because I'd spread what little I had left between the 2. That was the most difficult thing, I think, emotionally. And then, hard work-wise, I think it was just that since then and continuing to now, that it's just running 2 companies directly is extremely difficult. So the the workload is super high. But I do think things are getting a bit better on that front, particularly this year. So I think that's probably how to answer that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. And Dan, you had a question as well?
Yeah, hi, I'm Dan Ellis, and I'm opening a charitable community cinema, Jamjar Cinema, in my hometown of Whitley Bay, which is really exciting. More than that, we work with a lot of volunteers who each bring with them really creative and exciting ideas. So my question's for you, Richard. And when someone comes to you with an idea or a proposal for a partnership, what criteria do you use to determine the viability of that idea or the partnership?
Well, I think that the most important thing is the individual, whether or not you feel the individual is capable of doing the idea. I mean, there are many people who have similar ideas and great ideas. It's just whether they can actually deliver that idea. So trying to work out whether the person has will work all the hours that needed to deliver it, whether they're good motivator of other people, so as with a company is simply a group of people, and you just want to be absolutely sure that the person that the person who's coming to you with the idea is somebody that you feel can deliver, and then everything else flows from that.
Brilliant. Great. Okay, thanks, guys, and that's our questions done, I think. Cheers.
Okay, then now it's Virgin Mobile Colombia. Hi there. The lively bunch.
Hi, how are you doing, Yonka?
Guido, I think,
Yeah.
you had a question, right?
Yes, I'm Guido Sacconi, I'm lead of marketing of Virgin Mobile Colombia. We're just starting our 5th month of operation. Thankfully, we have had lots of success, but even greater fun. And today we're very happy and proud to be here with Andy for the Future, which is an initiative that Yvonne Cuello leads.
Hi, I'm Yvonne. I'm from Andy for the Future. We are an entrepreneurship program that has presence in 5 cities, and we are around 300 entrepreneurs. I'm here with 5 of the 300, Esteban, Camilo, Diego, and Felipe. We hope to see you down here soon to meet all the amazing things that are happening here in Colombia. So I have one question for Richard. Why do you think big companies and corporations should support and get involved with entrepreneurship, and how?
Well, first of all, I'm looking forward to coming to Colombia later this year, and look forward to seeing you all there. And it's also wonderful that Colombia's back on its feet again, and that some of the nightmares you've been through you seem to be able to put into the past. Oh my God, I've forgotten what question you asked now. What was the question? Can you say it again, please?
Is that as we are part of a national business association, that we are called Andy for the Future, because we want to build the next generation of companies in Colombia. I was wondering, what do you think like the big companies and corporations should get involved in and support entrepreneurship, and how?
I certainly feel that people like Elon and myself, who are fortunate enough to, have had the fortunate breaks that have given us the success that we've got, need to help other people who are trying to build their companies, and whether it's through entrepreneurial schools, whether it's giving up. Elon's just given up an hour of his time to talk to people around the world today. Sharing his ideas, whether it's campaigning with governments to try to make life easier for entrepreneurs. I think that there are plenty of ways. I think that those entrepreneurs who've been successful can give back by helping other people, get set up. Whether it's even by putting some money aside to help young entrepreneurs, get set up. Very, very small amounts of money can be all that it takes to set up a company. I set Virgin up on a $200 pounds that my mother had managed to claim from a necklace which she'd handed into the police station, and nobody claimed it, and she gave me the money. And it is literally very small amounts of money like that. They can be the start of what can turn into empires, many, many years later. Anyway, good luck to you all in Colombia.
Thank you. I'm going to let Esteban ask another question and introduce one of our entrepreneurs. He's actually from Medellin. So I'll let Esteban speak.
Hi everybody. I'm speaking on behalf of all the entrepreneurs here in Colombia. First of all, I want to thank you, Elon and Richard, for your time and for this terrific experience of sharing your experiences with us. My question is for Elon, and it's about talent. It is a fact that talent is the most important asset in any company. However, for us, for the entrepreneurs, in a starting phase, it is difficult to recruit and retain talent, not only for the economic perspective. So my question is, what are your recommendations to retain and recruit the best talent in that critical moment of the company, which is the starting phase?
Well, it's certainly true that the talent is extremely important. I mean, it's really just like a sports team. If you've got the team that will win is the one that has the best individual players, but then there's a multiplier by how well those players work together, and the strategy that they employ collectively. So, in order to recruit the best people, I think you have to have a very compelling goal that you're going to the goal for the company. If you put yourself in the shoes of someone who's say talented at the world level, then they're going to want to do something that really makes a difference. That really, like, this is a company that's going to be something significant. That stands to reason, because that's what somebody who's at that level, when it's always self-defining, really. So you have to have they have to believe that this is going to has the potential for a great outcome, and they have to believe in whoever the leader of the company is. So it's critical that you convince them that you're the right guy to work with. And that can be a very difficult thing, particularly when you're trying to attract people from existing companies, because then you're trying to convince them that they should give up something which is a sort of a relatively sure thing for the uncertainty of a startup. Yeah, so they have to believe that it's going to be interesting, that it's going to change the world, and that their efforts will be rewarded financially. But that's arguably the least important, but it still should be a factor.
Thanks a lot. Back to you, John.
Thank you. Last but not least, Last but not least, we're going to Montego Bay, and the Branson
The noisy ones.
Sorry, the noisy ones. Go on, show us your noise.
Hi everyone from Branson Center Caribbean in warm, sunny Jamaica. It's great to hang out with you again, Richard. Hi, Elon, and everybody else out there. Hi. Since we last hung out, Richard, we have grown significantly. In fact, we've doubled in number with 75 entrepreneurs in-house now. We have a few of them sitting here with us, along with team members. Hey. And we really wouldn't miss this for anything. So as we're the last ones, we want to move on quickly. We'll start with our entrepreneur, Brian Brown's question.
Hi, Richard. This question is for you. The name of my company is Livewire Act, a disruptive marketing and entertainment company. Now, as an entertainer and socially active citizen, I'm increasingly aware of the influences and temptations that can come at you. So my question is, what is the most challenging part of balancing changing the world personally and professionally without allowing the world to change you?
Richard?
You might just that was me, was it? What was the most? You just said it once again, and I'll try to get it. I'll try to get. What was the most?
What is the most challenging part of balancing changing the world professionally and personally, without in turn allowing the world to change who you are as a person?
Yeah, I mean, I think. I'd love Elon to give his answer as well, but I think the most important thing is not to let your business completely absorb your life 100%, especially if you've got a family or if you've got a partner, you've got children. So trying to get a balance in your life is really important. Trying to make sure you do have the time to look after yourself is really important. And as I said earlier, it is just so important that you surround yourself with other people who can share the burden with you, people who you can enjoy the good times with, get through the bad times with, and who can take some of the load off your shoulders. And so I think as a good leader does not try to do everything themselves. A good leader is somebody who's willing to, let other people make mistakes as well as make good things. So I think as early as possible, just find people to work with you who can share the burden and don't feel that you're the only person that knows all the answers.
So on to our second question, which is from entrepreneur Dwayne Samuels.
Hello, Richard. Hi, Elon. I'm from Zormis. My name is Dwayne Samuels, and my question is for you, Elon. You've been regarded as today's Henry Ford, and some would even say you're the closest thing we have to Tony Stark. You're conquering transportation and space and land, and also you helped to create a platform for money. What's next? Apart from Hyperloop, what's next? Robots? Teleportation?
Teleportation would be cool, certainly. Well, I think I'm somewhat. I probably have a bit too much on my plate as it is with SpaceX and Tesla, and then I still have to allocate a little bit of time to Solar City. Although fortunately, in the case of Solar City, there are some really great guys there that run it day to day and are just fantastic. So I mostly just show up to hear the good news at Solar City. Yeah, so, but as far as, I mean, the thing that I think would be, if I were to start another company in the future, which I don't think would be anytime soon, it would be to try to create an aircraft that is a supersonic, vertical takeoff and landing electric jet. I think that's sort of the ultimate form of transport, with the exception of what I was mentioning earlier, which is city pairs that are really close together and have a huge amount of traffic between them. That's where the Hyperloop would win on that special case. But in the general case, it's a supersonic vertical takeoff and landing electric plane, because obviously it would have some environmental benefits being electric and be quieter. Supersonic, it would be very fast, and if you fly high enough and have the right geometry of the plane, you can make the sonic boom no louder than current planes. And then the vertical takeoff and landing part would mean that you could land much closer to your destination instead of landing at these huge airports with super long runways. And I think that would really be great. I wish somebody would do that. And so if somebody doesn't do that, maybe at some point in the future I will.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you very much for answering our questions, and back to you, Yonka.
Thanks, Sharon. So we've got around 3 minutes left. I guess one thing we haven't done is does Richard or Elon have any questions for each other or advice for each other?
Well, we know each other pretty well, actually. We've been friends for a long time.
Yeah.
So I always enjoy Richard's company. He's always a great guy to hang out with, actually. Usually in real life, of course. as opposed to
and also virtually, I hope.
Yeah, virtually too. Yeah, it's we've had great times hanging out and having a bushwhacker, which is a good drink in the Virgin Islands.
Or a Virgin Mary.
Right. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think, anyway, have enormous respect for Elon and incredible what he's achieved. He's a horribly young man. I hate him for that. And obviously has enormous amount more to achieve. And looking forward to watching with fascination and interest what's next. I just hope that we talk about delegation. I hope he can find some really wonderful people to help him. So he's got five I think children, all boys, all under the age of 4.
No, they're a bit older now, but
all right.
When you first saw them, they were.
All right, and but anyway, he just he needs to. I hope you can find lots of time for them in the years to come, so he's just got to find some good people to help you. I think.
I agree. I agree. My New Year's resolution was to spend a bit more time on fun and family this year. So I think I'm making a little bit of progress, and I think you're absolutely right about that. So.
Great. Well, hopefully we'll see more of you then. And to all the people listening in, thanks so much for your time, and good luck to all your adventures. And the fun thing, listening to somebody like Elon, with you're all talking about businesses which may be only $10,000 or $5,000 or but out of those you can start thinking about vertical takeoff planes one day. But you have to obviously start from scratch, build it, and it takes many years to get there. But dream big, and one day those dreams hopefully can become reality. And good luck to all of you, and thanks very much for your time.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And thanks to Google.
Thank you, and thanks, John, for organizing this. Thank you so much, Richard and Elon. Cheers.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.